The council chamber was massive. It stretched across what looked like 3 football fields with a dome ceiling that showed the stars above. Hundreds of aliens sat in curved rows, each one different from the next. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like walking plants. Ambassador Trell stood at the center podium. He was tall, maybe 7 feet, with blue scales that shimmered under the lights. His face was long and narrow, with 4 eyes that blinked one at a time. Right now, all 4 eyes looked worried. "We must talk about the humans," Trell said. His voice came out in a hiss that the translation device turned into clear speech. A hologram appeared above him. It showed a human man rotating slowly in 3 dimensions. The aliens in the chamber leaned forward to look. Some made nervous sounds. "This is what they look like," Trell continued. He pointed at the hologram's face. "See these eyes? They face forward. Like a hunter. Like a predator." An alien named Mira spoke up from her seat. She looked like a giant mantis, green and clicking. "And the teeth. Look at the teeth. They show them when they are happy. They smile with weapons in their mouth." Trell nodded. "Yes. Their planet is what we call a Class 12 death world. Do you understand what that means? The gravity there would crush most of us. The air has oxygen levels that would poison our blood. They have storms that destroy entire cities. Animals there that could kill a Valorn warrior in seconds." He paused and let that sink in. "And yet," Trell said quietly, "humans are the apex predator of that world. They are at the top. Nothing hunts them." An old alien in the back row spoke. He looked like a floating jellyfish with tentacles. "How did they get to space? How did a predator species develop technology?" "That is what worries us," Trell replied. "They are smart. Very smart. They build machines, create art, write music. They have emotions and families. But they are still hunters. Still predators. The question is whether we can trust them." Up in the observation gallery, Captain James Harper watched and listened. He was a human 42 years old, with short brown hair going gray at the sides. He wore a dark blue uniform with Earth's flag on the shoulder. Next to him stood his crew. "They are talking about us like we are monsters," whispered Emma Ross. She was his second in command, younger than James, with red hair tied back in a bun. "Just listen," James said calmly. Down below, another alien stood to speak. This one was small and furry like a rabbit that walked on 2 legs. "I vote no. Humans are too dangerous. We should reject their application." "But they passed all the tests," Mira argued. "They have not attacked anyone. Their messages have been peaceful. What reason do we have to reject them?" "Fear," the rabbit alien said simply. "I am afraid of them. Look at their history. They fight wars against each other. Terrible wars. They create weapons that can destroy their own planet. If they fight each other like that, what will they do to us?" Trell raised his scaled hand for silence. "I understand your fear. But consider this. Every species here was once primitive. Every species had wars. The question is not what they were, but what they can become." The voting began. Lights appeared next to each alien's seat. Green for yes, red for no, yellow for unsure. The lights flickered across the chamber like Christmas decorations. James watched them carefully, counting in his head. More green than red. That was good. The final count appeared on the main screen. 73 green lights. 27 red. 12 yellow. "The vote passes," Trell announced. "Humanity is granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council. They will be monitored closely. They will have restrictions on their travel and trade. But they are welcome here." Some aliens clapped. Others sat in silence. The rabbit alien shook his head and left the chamber. James felt Emma pat his shoulder. "We did it, Captain. We are in." "We are in," James agreed. But he had seen the fear in those alien eyes. He had heard the doubt in their voices. This was not a warm welcome. This was a test. The galaxy was watching them, waiting to see if humans really were the monsters they feared. "Let us prove them wrong," James said to his crew. They walked out of the observation gallery together, not knowing that in the weeks and months ahead, they would prove the galaxy both wrong and right about humanity. Humans were not monsters. But they were not harmless either. They were something the galaxy had never seen before. They were survivors from a world that tried to kill them every day. And that made them more dangerous and more valuable than anyone in that council chamber could possibly understand. The alarm screamed through the bridge of the ship Endurance. Captain James Harper jumped from his chair and ran to the communications panel. His crew moved fast around him. "What is it?" James asked. Emma Ross was already reading the message on her screen. Her face went pale. "Distress call from Tertius 7. It is a mining colony. Pirates are attacking them. How many people? James asked. 47 colonists. Mostly Valorn workers. The pirates are Grell. They want the mining equipment and supplies. James did not hesitate. Set course for Tertius 7. Maximum speed. Get David and his security team ready. David Cole was the head of security. He was a big man with scars on his face from old fights. He had been a soldier on Earth before joining the crew. When the call came, he was already putting on his armor. How many pirates? David asked as he checked his weapon. Unknown. Maybe 20 or 30, Emma replied over the comm system. Good odds, David said with a small smile. Kate Wilson laughed as she loaded her rifle. She was younger than David but just as tough. You think 20 pirates against 6 of us is good odds? For us. Yes, David said. The Endurance arrived at Tertius 7 4 hours later. The pirate ship was still on the ground, and the Grell were loading stolen equipment. When they saw the human ship approaching, they started shooting. The battle was short and brutal. David led his team down to the surface. The Grell expected the humans to take cover and fight carefully like other species did. They were wrong. When David took a shot to his shoulder, the energy blast burning through his armor, he did not fall back. He just switched his weapon to his other hand and kept moving forward. The pain was bad, but he pushed it down deep inside. Kate got hit across her ribs. The blast cut through her side armor and left a long burn. She dropped to one knee, wrapped a bandage around herself quickly, and then stood back up. She kept fighting. The Grell had never seen anything like it. Most species stopped fighting when they got hurt. They retreated to get medical help. These humans just kept coming. Fall back to the ship, the Grell captain screamed to his crew. But their ship was damaged. It could not fly. So the Grell ran on foot across the rocky moon surface. There were caves in the mountains where they could hide. They had supplies cached there. They would be safe. David watched them run. Should we chase them, Captain? He asked over the radio. James thought about it for a moment. The colonists were safe now. The pirates were running away. Most captains would have stopped there. Yes, James said. Chase them. Do not let them escape. Understood, David replied. What happened next became legend across the galaxy. David Cole tracked the Grell pirates for 3 days. He did not sleep. He did not stop to rest. He drank water from his suit recycler and ate energy bars while he walked. His armor's medical system gave him stimulants to keep him awake. The Grell could not believe it. They would rest for 6 hours and wake up to find the humans still behind them, still following their trail. They would run for another day and he would still be there. His footprints in the dust never stopped. On the second day, one of the Grell collapsed from exhaustion. On the third day, 3 more could not continue. They just sat down and waited to be caught. On the morning of the 4th day, David Cole walked into the pirate camp. His armor was covered in dust and scratches. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. His shoulder wound had stopped bleeding but still hurt. But his weapon was steady in his hands. The Grell captain looked at him with pure terror. What are you? The pirate whispered. Human, David said simply. You are all under arrest. The pirates did not fight. They just put their hands up and surrendered. Back at the colony, the Valorn administrator named Shess was waiting when David returned with the prisoners. The alien scales were shaking. Are you all right? Shess asked carefully. I am fine, David said. Just tired. You walked for 3 days without stopping. That is not possible. No species can do that. Humans can, David replied. He handed over the prisoners to the local security and then went to the medical bay. Dr. Helen Price examined him and shook her head. You are insane, David. You should be dead or in a coma. But I am not, David said with a tired smile. I just need sleep now. The footage from David's helmet camera spread across the galactic network within hours. Every species watched in horror as the human tracked the pirates without rest, without stopping, without giving up. A new phrase was born that day in a dozen different languages. Translated to English, it meant the same thing everywhere. Humans do not stop. The dining hall on the Endurance was decorated with flags from different worlds. Captain James Harper thought it was a good idea to have a dinner party. It would help the humans make friends with the other species. It would show that humans were peaceful and civilized. Dr. Helen Price was excited. She was in charge of preparing the human food. She wanted to show the aliens what Earth cuisine was like. She made coffee, hot chocolate, spiced chicken with peppers, bread with garlic, and wine. She even made chocolate cake for dessert. This looks wonderful, Emma Ross said as she helped set the table. Do you think they will like it? I hope so, Helen replied. I tried to make it mild. Not too spicy. The guests arrived at 7 o'clock. Ambassador Trell came with 3 other Valorn officials. Mira brought 2 members of the Gentle Collective. There were also representatives from 4 other species. Everyone was dressed nicely and ready for a peaceful dinner. James stood and raised his glass of water. Welcome everyone. We are honored to share this meal with you. This is a tradition on Earth. We break bread together to build friendship. A beautiful tradition, Trell said. His scales were a bright blue color, which meant he was happy. We are pleased to be here. The first problem happened with the coffee. One of the Gentle Collective representatives took a small sip. Within seconds her antennae started twitching wildly. Her body shook. Are you all right? Helen asked, concerned. What is in this drink? The alien gasped. My heart is racing. My thoughts are moving too fast. It is just coffee, Helen said. It has caffeine in it. It helps humans wake up in the morning. Mira clicked her mandibles in alarm. Caffeine is a stimulant drug. You give yourself drugs every morning? Well, yes, but it is not a drug, Helen tried to explain. It is normal for us. The aliens at the table looked at each other nervously. But they continued eating. The real disaster happened when Trell tried the salsa. Helen had put out a bowl of red sauce with tortilla chips. She thought it was mild. On Earth, even children ate this kind of salsa. Trell dipped a chip in the sauce and put it in his mouth. For 3 seconds nothing happened. Then his scales turned from blue to dark purple. His 4 eyes went wide. He made a choking sound and fell forward onto the table. Ambassador! James shouted. Helen ran to Trell's side immediately. She was a doctor and knew what to do. She pulled out her medical scanner and checked his vital signs. His heart was beating too fast. His blood pressure was very high. His mouth and throat were swelling. What did you poison him with? Mira screamed. She stood up so fast her chair fell over. What is in that sauce? Poison? It is not poison. Helen was confused and scared. It is just peppers. Tomatoes and peppers and salt. That is all. Peppers? Another alien stood up, backing away from the table. You mean capsaicin? That is a class 4 nerve agent. It is illegal in most systems. Helen gave Trell an injection to reduce the swelling. His breathing got easier, but he was still in pain. 2 other crew members helped carry him to the medical bay. The dinner party was over. The aliens stood far away from the food table like it was a bomb. James tried to calm everyone down. Please, there has been a misunderstanding. This is normal food for humans. We eat it every day. You eat nerve agents every day? Myra's voice was high and frightened. Helen came back from the medical bay. Trell was stable, but he needed to rest. She faced the group of aliens and tried to explain. I am sorry. I did not know. On Earth, capsaicin is just a spice. It makes food taste good. It is not dangerous to us. Not dangerous? A Valorn official pointed at the food table with a shaking hand. What else is on that table that can kill us? Helen looked at the food she had prepared with such care. The chocolate has theobromine. That might be toxic to some of you. The garlic has sulfur compounds. The alcohol is, well, alcohol. The coffee has caffeine, which you already know about. You are telling us, Mira said slowly, that everything on this table is poisonous? Not to humans, Helen said weakly. There was a long silence. Then one of the aliens laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who realizes they have made a terrible mistake. They do not just hunt and never stop, the alien said. They also eat poison for fun. What kind of species are you? James had no good answer for that question. Within hours, emergency messages went out to every ship in the galaxy. Warning labels were put on all human food. New protocols were created. Human meals were banned from shared dining facilities. Xenobiologists wrote urgent reports about human dietary hazards. In the human quarters that night, David Cole sat with his cup of coffee and a chocolate bar. He read the reports on his data pad about how humans were now classified as even more dangerous than before. We scared them with our food, he said to Kate Wilson. Kate was eating potato chips with hot sauce. Wait until they find out about our alcohol tolerance, she said with a grin. Or that some of us eat food so spicy it makes us cry, David added. They both laughed. But deep down they knew the truth. The galaxy was afraid of humans. And that fear was growing every day. Not because humans were violent, but because humans were strange in ways the galaxy could not understand. They were predators who drank poison and smiled about it. And that was scarier than any weapon. Thomas Grant was fixing the maintenance drone when Station Coordinator Vel found him. The drone was small, about the size of a dog, with 6 legs and 2 mechanical arms. It was supposed to clean the floors and carry small tools. But it had a broken sensor that made it walk in crooked lines. Most engineers would have reported it for destruction. Broken drones were recycled and replaced. That was the normal procedure. Thomas did not follow normal procedure. He fixed the sensor, updated the programming, and made the drone work better than before. He also painted a small smiley face on its front panel. He named it Buddy. "Good job today, Buddy," Thomas said as he tightened the last bolt. "Your left leg was wobbly, but it is fine now." The drone beeped. It could not talk, but Thomas liked to think it was saying thank you. That was when Vel walked into the engineering bay. The alien looked like a large spider with purple fur and too many eyes. Those eyes were now staring at Thomas with confusion. "Engineer Grant," Vel said in his clicking voice. "Why are you talking to the machine?" "Oh, hello, Vel," Thomas said cheerfully. "I am just explaining what I fixed. It helps me think through the problem." Vel's eyes moved to look at the drone. "That unit is malfunctioning. I saw it in the report. It should be destroyed and replaced." Thomas stood up quickly. His body moved between Vel and Buddy. "No. Buddy is fine now. I fixed him. He works perfectly." "Buddy?" Vel's antennae twitched. "You named it?" "Yes. He is part of the team now. It is not alive, Engineer Grant. It is a machine. A broken machine. He was broken. Now he is fixed." Thomas crossed his arms. His voice was calm but firm. "You are not taking him." Vel did not understand. The human was defending a maintenance drone. A simple robot that cleaned floors. Why would he do this? It made no sense. "This is not logical," Vel said. "I will report this to Captain Harper." "You do that," Thomas replied. The report reached James within an hour. Then it reached the station's xenopsychology department. Then it reached the Galactic Council's research division. Soon, dozens of alien scientists were studying the incident. They discovered something that disturbed them greatly. Thomas was not unusual. All the humans did this. Every single one of them formed emotional attachments to things that were not alive. Dr. Helen Price was called to explain to a panel of 5 alien psychologists. They met in a conference room with cameras recording everything. "Dr. Price," the lead psychologist said. "He was a floating jellyfish-like creature named Orvin. We need to understand human pack bonding behavior." "I will try to explain," Helen said. "Engineer Grant has bonded with a maintenance drone. Is this normal?" "Yes. Very normal. But the drone is not sentient. It cannot think or feel." "We know that," Helen said. "But humans form attachments easily. We bond with pets, with plants, with our tools, even with our ships. It is part of who we are." Orvin's tentacles waved in distress. "Lieutenant Ross has a plant in her quarters. She talks to it. She gives it a name. Why? Because it makes her happy. Because caring for something helps us feel less alone in space. Private Wilson named her weapon. She calls it Vera. She cleans it every night and says good night to it." Helen nodded. "That is also normal. Soldiers often bond with their weapons. The weapon keeps them alive, so they care for it." Captain Harper refers to the ship as she, and treats it like a living being. The ship is his responsibility. His home. Of course he cares about it. There was a long silence. The psychologists looked at each other with their various types of eyes. Finally, a small rodent-like alien spoke up. "We do not understand. Your security chief David Cole tracked enemies for 3 days without mercy. He showed no emotion, no hesitation. He was perfectly ruthless." "Yes," Helen agreed. "But Engineer Thomas Grant nearly caused a diplomatic incident over a floor-cleaning robot. He defended it like it was his child." "Also yes. How can both be true?" The rodent alien's whiskers twitched frantically. "How can you be ruthless killers and also bond with everything you see?" Helen thought carefully about how to explain. "We protect what is ours. If something or someone is part of our pack, our family, our crew, we will fight for it. A crewmate, a pet, a plant, a tool, even a drone. Once we decide something belongs to us, we care for it deeply. Even if it is not alive? Even then. We cannot help it. It is in our nature." A Valorn psychologist was reviewing data on a screen. "This is fascinating and terrifying. Captain Harper has formed bonds with his crew, his ship, his coffee mug, and a photograph. Lieutenant Ross bonds with her plant, her uniform, and a specific chair in the cafeteria. Engineer Grant has bonded with 7 different machines. And they are all still excellent at their jobs?" Orvin asked. "Yes. Among the most efficient crew in the fleet." "That is what frightens us," Orvin said quietly. They make friends with everything. They care about everything. But they are also the most effective soldiers we have ever encountered. They can be gentle and brutal at the same time. We do not understand how this is possible. Helen stood up. Maybe you do not need to understand. Maybe you just need to accept that this is who we are. That evening, James found Thomas in the engineering bay. Buddy was following the engineer around, carrying tools. I heard you almost started an incident over a drone, James said. They wanted to scrap him, sir? Thomas looked embarrassed but not sorry. I could not let that happen. James watched Buddy roll past, beeping happily. He thought about his own ship, the Endurance. He thought about how he patted the wall panels when the engines ran smoothly. How he felt proud when the ship performed well. How he would fight anyone who tried to harm his vessel. I understand, Tom, James said. Just warn me next time before you defend a robot against station security. Will do, Captain. As James walked away, he realized something important. The galaxy thought humans were strange for bonding with everything. But this was not a weakness. It was a strength. Humans cared. They cared about their crew, their tools, their ships, their missions. They cared deeply and completely. And when you cared that much, you fought harder to protect what was yours. The galaxy saw it as a contradiction. Humans saw it as simply being human. And maybe that was the most terrifying thing of all. The warning came too late. The Skarn swarm had appeared at the edge of the New Haven system without any signal or notice. They came like a wave of darkness, thousands of ships moving as one mind. The Skarn had been the galaxy's nightmare for 3,000 years. They consumed worlds and left nothing behind. No mercy. No prisoners. No survivors. New Haven was a colony world with 30,000 people. Humans, Valorns, gentle collective members, and a dozen other species all lived there together. They had farms and schools and homes. They had built a life there. The evacuation order came from the Galactic Council immediately. Abandon the planet. Everyone must leave now. The swarm cannot be stopped. Captain James Harper sat in his chair on the bridge of the Endurance and read the order. Then he deleted it. Sir? Emma Ross stared at him. Did you just delete an evacuation order? Yes, James said calmly. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we need the Marines. Tell them we need them now. We are going to fight the swarm? Emma's voice was quiet. No one fights the swarm. That is why they evacuate. Well, James said as he stood up, they have never fought humans before. 3 days later, 5 human warships arrived in the New Haven system. They were not pretty ships. They were built for war, covered in armor and weapons. On board were 5,000 human Marines led by Colonel Richard Stone. These were veterans who had fought in Earth's worst wars. They knew how to kill and they knew how to survive. Ambassador Trell watched from a safe orbital station far above the planet. His scales had turned gray with fear. This is insane. The humans are going to get everyone killed. They need to evacuate now. With respect, Ambassador, Emma said from the communication screen. Humans don't evacuate. The battle for New Haven started on a Tuesday morning and lasted 6 days. The Skarn swarm landed in waves. They were like giant insects, each one as big as a car, with sharp claws and acid that could melt through metal. They moved in perfect coordination because they shared one mind. They had destroyed civilizations that were older and stronger than humanity. Colonel Richard Stone stood on the planet's surface with his Marines and watched the swarm approach. He did not look afraid. He looked angry. Listen up, Richard said over the radio to all his troops. These things have been scaring the galaxy for 3,000 years. Today we show them what it means to scare humans. Today we show them Earth. The Marines opened fire. The battle was not like anything the Skarn had seen before. Other species fought defensively. They built walls and waited. They retreated when things got bad. Humans attacked. They set traps. They used explosives. They had chemical weapons that burned and poisoned. When the swarm pushed forward, the humans would retreat, but the retreat was a trap. They led the swarm into kill zones where bombs were waiting. David Cole led a team through the city streets. They used the buildings for cover and ambush. When a Skarn warrior got too close, David used a knife. An actual steel knife. The galaxy thought melee combat was primitive. David thought it was efficient. Dr. Helen Price worked in a field hospital for 48 hours without stopping. She drank coffee, took stimulant pills, and kept working. Injured Marines came in and she put them back together. Other species would have collapsed from exhaustion. Helen just kept going. Thomas Grant kept the colony's power running even when Skarn warriors were attacking the generator building. He talked to the machines, begged them to keep working, fixed them while explosions shook the walls around him. Come on, girl, he whispered to the main generator. Just a little longer. Please. On the 6th day, something happened that had never happened in 3,000 years. The Skarn swarm stopped attacking. Then they retreated. They went back to their ships and left the system. Before they jumped away, the Swarm Queen sent a message on all frequencies. Just 5 words that every species in the galaxy heard. We are not the monsters here. The silence after that message was deafening. New Haven had survived. 2,200 human Marines had died, but 30,000 civilians lived. The galaxy watched videos of the battle and could not believe what they saw. Humans fighting with a fury that matched the swarm. Humans using tactics and weapons that the swarm could not predict. Humans who simply refused to lose. 3 weeks later, Admiral Lisa Morgan stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was completely silent as she spoke. For 3,000 years you ran from the swarm. We understand why. You are civilized. You negotiate. You build. You create peace. She paused and looked around the room. Humans are different. We come from a world that tried to kill us every single day. We learned to adapt or die. We learned to be persistent. We learned to fight when fighting was the only option. We bond with everything because we lose things all the time. We eat poison because we had to survive. We don't stop because stopping meant extinction. Lisa's voice grew stronger. You called us horrors when we arrived. You were right. But now we are your horrors. We are the monsters you call when monsters come for you. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Council with a new title, Apex Defenders. That night, on the Endurance, James Harper stood looking at the stars with his crew. David was there with his coffee. Emma was there with her plant in a pot. Thomas was there with Buddy the drone rolling behind him. Kate was there cleaning her rifle. We did it, Emma said softly. We showed them what humans can do, James agreed. David raised his cup. To being the nightmare that scares nightmares. They all smiled. Not the peaceful smiles of diplomats. The smiles of predators who had just won a fight. Somewhere in deep space the Skarn swarm was running away. For the first time in their long existence, they had found something more terrifying than themselves. They had found humanity. And the galaxy would never be the same.